Hello everyone, it's Randy from Aquarium Co-op, and today we are in the warehouse for a little bit more of an in-depth tour of a behind the scenes of what we do here and how we get your orders out. So what I'm showing you right now is one of our trolleys, and this is a pick trolley. Each one of these green bins typically represents one single order, and there are 4 on each shelf and 3 different shelves. So we've got 12 orders in total that we pick per trolley. And sometimes, you guys will place large enough orders where we'll have to use 2 or 3 different bins, and that kind of becomes a little bit of a challenge, but we make it work. But regardless, most of the time our orders will fit in a single bin. And what we do is we park it behind a pack station here. So let me step out and actually show you pack station row. So we operate, let's see here, 6 pack stations to date. Yep, we've got 6 pack stations. They start with station 0 down there. There's a fun story of why it's called station 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you'll notice also that we try and standardize and keep them basically the exact same. So it doesn't matter where you are. The 9x5x3s will be in the same spot. The 777s, the 1111-4s. So this is all standard so that any packer, or any employee rather, can jump on any station and pack with the same proficiency and the same familiarity regardless of where they are. Sometimes smaller operations, they'll give individuals their own pack station and people will, make it perfectly suited for them. But that kind of means that really only that person can truly be successful at that station. And so our methodology is to just have standardized stations, which works out really, really well. And that's something that you would, if you're a lean nerd or a manufacturing nerd, Toyota production system, standardization, 5S, all of those fun kind of terms come into play. So as a packer, what I would do is I would take one of the bins here and I would put it on the station. And we would go through, we would first scan the tote. Our system then knows what orders associated with that tote and the items that should be in here. And you go, ooh man, somebody's going heavy on the auto feeders. So we've got 4 auto feeders in this order. We have our compliance sticker. What else did they get? Some easy community floating pellets. A lot of our associates, or most of them I would say, have the spatial recognition of they would know exactly what box to go with. So they would look at these items in here and just see, that's probably going to be an 1186, and they would immediately know to pull that one. But they also are really good at making sure that we're being efficient and that we are filling the box to like an 85-90% level. We never want to try to stuff a box 100% full. Sometimes in transit, not having that wiggle room in the box, items can get damaged as they're being jostled around at sort centers with UPS or USPS or whoever the carrier happens to be for the item. So we like to shoot for 85-90%, especially when we're dealing with plant orders as well. So we would process the order, put it in a box, use some packing paper. At random, we do sometimes include stickers, so this is where the free sticker pull would be. And this station today happens to have the clown loach sticker, but we do rotate these out, so it's not always the same sticker there. And let's see here. So once you're done with that, you would then put your empty tote back in here, and your completed package would go down this fun roller bed. Dean is not allowed to slide down this roller bed on his knees like he did in the Washington warehouse. But those are our outbound orders down there. And then we have pallets over off to the side of them being sorted and ready to get picked up by the carrier. So how we used to do this, and things have actually changed a little bit. For the longest time, we've always run a roller belt or a wheel belt of some sort. And what we used to do, I should say, sorry if I'm moving too much right now, is we would place all of the totes on the bed just like this. So if you picked 12, you would put all 12 of them as the picker onto the roller belt, and then they would go down, and the first station that we would staff, so in this example station 0 that I pointed out earlier, that is where we would staff somebody, or 0, 1, and 2 depending on how heavy of a day we were, right? But that would essentially be the first pack station. That's where you'd pack it out. And then when you were done, you wouldn't put it back on the belt because this is for incoming orders. The outgoing orders would actually get stacked behind you. You would have your own half pallet, or you would have your own GMPC or APC as USPS calls it. So this guy right here. So each station would have one of these, and then you would load it up yourself. Now, You're not always going to fill up one of these, especially if you're at station 3 or 4 down the line. So then later on in the day, we'd have to consolidate. So we're not sending out empty ones of these to the carriers. But what ended up happening is we realized that that was a lot of waste. There was what we call muda, or what Toyota production system would call muda. So just unnecessary extra movement of having the picker have to put this rolling belt, the orders on the rolling belt to then go to the packers. So the team trialed out, well, what if we changed it so that instead of the picker putting the order on the belt, we just parked the full trolley behind the pack station, and we turned this into an outbound lane. So this will then fill up. You put your order on here, your completed order. It would go on the roller belt, go all the way down here, and then when the belt got, let's say, half full, or to some point where we needed to empty it because people can't put any more orders on the belt, we then have a team of 2 people, and we act as human sortation. So we would look at, and I assume we are going to blur this label out, but we would look at the label, we'd see who the carrier is going to be. We would do a verbal confirmation. So one person does that initial check and they say, okay, this is going to go USPS, or this is going to go with Amazon shipping. Hand it to the other human sorter, if you will, the other associate in this task. And they would then make sure that, okay, is it going to go to this carrier, or this carrier, right? So we have redundancy built into that. Because if it's a single person and you're looking at hundreds of orders on the belt, it can get a little bit confusing sometimes, or you could just kind of lose focus. And the last thing we want to do is put something that needs to go to UPS, giving it to USPS. Because what's going to happen is USPS, they're going to set that box off to the side. They can't process it. It's going to go through their exception lane, as they call it sometimes in sort centers. And that package is basically going to become forever lost. It is incredibly rare that we would ever get one of those packages back. And so that's why having this 2 human system for our warehouse works out really well. Now, when we're on warehouse 4.0 and we're in a 100,000 square foot building instead of a 39,000 square foot building, you know, that's when automated sortation can come into play, where you put it on a powered conveyor, it takes it to a diverter, you've got cameras up above that are looking for carrier codes, and then it diverts it into various lanes. So maybe that's the FedEx lane, and that's the UPS lane, and this is the Amazon shipping lane. And then from there, you would then have somebody take it off and put it into into some type of a container or stack it on a pallet, but you're removing that decision point and the possibility for a sortation error, which is, again, one of the worst things that can happen, because we did everything right picking, we did everything right packing, but then we just messed up on that sortation, went to the wrong carrier, you as a customer didn't receive your order. That's no bueno. The items are lost. We then have to reprocess that entire order for you to take care of you, rightfully so. But we don't want to do that, because then you're delayed by, 3-4 days, maybe even up to a week, depending on when we are notified. So the double sortation method has worked out really, really well, and we're going to continue doing that. So when this is fully emptied and everything has been picked on it, it then gets rolled over to an outgoing area and it gets lined up. So you'll see here, we have a whole fleet of these. So on a real busy day, everybody in the team's out there doing the initial picking. We get these all full. At some point, people start breaking off and they start processing the orders, packing, and then the totes will then go back to their kind of in waiting area, their on deck, if you will, to start the pick process. And actually, let's see here. We can go walk up and down some pick aisles and kind of see what we have. All of our picks start in row, what is it now? Row E. And row E is going to be our heavy hitter row. And what I mean by heavy hitters, these are, aquarium co-op items, some of our best sellers. And a lot of times it'll start here with easy brine shrimp salt. This one isn't a top seller. This one just happens to be here because of the weight and it's a pallet. But nonetheless, all of these are going to be very, very common items. Fine poly pad. What else do we have? Hey, look at that. Auto feeders again. Sponge filters, easy flow sponge filters. Brine shrimp hatchers. And so what you tend to find is we have pallet pick locations. Those are going to be items that are higher volume and also bulkier. So we can have high volume items, but if they're really small, they don't necessarily need to go as a pallet location. And that's where we have something like this over here, where, you know, some extreme foods, which we do very well with extreme foods, but not to the point where it needs to take up a whole pallet location, like say ICX. So ICX is, yeah, I would kind of call this a half pallet location because we can't go too high with it, but it does have a pallet footprint underneath. And let's see here. These are repurposed styrofoam from our brine shrimp orders. We try to reuse those and save them as much as possible and not have to throw them out. And let's see what we have in here. So this one we repurposed for replacement Ziz suction cups. So the 2-pack. And let's see, what else do we have going on? So yeah, when you're picking, our system prompts you to basically travel to locations. So if it says get 2 items from F8A3, you'd come over here and you would see, oh, there's that location. It's got a barcode that's scannable if you need to do that. And what is it? It's Fritz A+ aquarium salt. So if you need to get 1 or 2 units, again, the system's going to prompt you. You're going to have a confirmation scan where you're actually going to scan the barcode on the bottom, which I have asked Fritz to move this barcode from being in this little pinch location. That is really hard to scan. So Fritz, if you're watching this, move your barcode back to the back. That would be very helpful. Yeah, and then you just keep doing that until every item in the 12 orders on your trolley has been picked. The new larger algae scrubbers, that's a real popular one. So that kind of sits here on this end cap on a pallet. And then you'll see here, oh, actually, I can come over here and tease this, because by the time this video comes out, these should already be on the website. Newest merch drop. This is the fish and shirt. So fish and shrimp and snails and plants, Aquarium Co-op. So a real cool shirt. I like this one. So this will be available on the website, I'd imagine, by the time this video comes out. And also, if you place an order large enough, you could add one of those on for free. So let's see. Keep walking around and now show you so essentially, a lot of times you are going to finish your pick path somewhere in this K, or if you have plants or not, you might come down to this row here, the M row, which is next to our plant area and the plant prep stations. I'll show you plant pick bins, which these bins are from the Washington warehouse, and we used to put all types of items in these pick bins and have to replenish them throughout the day. Very tough, very durable, but we've since relegated them to being exclusive for plants. So you know if you're getting something in a blue bin, it's going to be a plant. Or I do think the Project Beyonce live bacteria biorings do go in this as well, because they're prepped over next to the plant area. So if the system prompted you to come over to M4A2 and get some lutea, pick some lutea, it's going to be in one of these locations. And then once you get your final item, that's when you make this walk back this way. And drop off your trolley. As a picker, you're going to drop it off at kind of the next available pack station. So if this location is full with a trolley, if whip location number 2, you'll see here we even have it labeled station 5, whip 2, if that's full. And so if those 2 are full, you're then going to go to station 4, assuming that there is a packer there working. And they also have station whip spot 2, whip spot 1, and so each station configured the same way in that manner. All right, turning around. This area over here used to be where we had a little pickleball court. But very soon we needed to relocate things, and now this is box land. So these are all the different boxes that we utilize for our operation. And if I hold it up and see if that gives you any sense of boxes and packing paper pallets. So just keep walking around. We have a lot of boxes, and they're all lined up by the box size that they're in, or that they are rather. That's a precarious pallet right there. We try not to do this kind of thing where, well, actually this is strapped from the vendor. So this came from the vendor like this. And that's not the best, but that's okay. This is not really a high traffic area. But yeah, these are all of our boxes. And so it's one thing to factor in space for your product. You then have to factor in the supplies that you need, your packing paper, your boxes, your pick trolleys. All of that takes up very, very valuable square footage on the floor. And that is, again, one of the reasons we moved to Kentucky was to get a larger warehouse, to get something with a bigger footprint. We were definitely we had outgrown the 9,000 square feet in Washington and needed something more. And we got it here. However, as we continue to grow, we fill up the space pretty fast. And another reason why we have so many boxes is that we've now gone to custom printed boxes. So these are fantastic. They're the same quality as what we were getting before from another supplier. They just now have our artwork and our logo on it. However, in order to do this, you have to justify it and actually order in much larger quantities for them to run your plates when they produce these boxes. And they're actually custom sized to us as well. So we could do any dimensions that we wanted. And these, that particular one, the 12-12-6 is one that we chose, in addition to having our custom logo on there. All right, so next up we have the 2 retail partner stations. And I do have a repurposed retail partner sign. So if you've been into one of our retail partner stores, you might have noticed that sign that they have hanging. So we have 2 of these stations, and the concept is very similar, of 2 stations laid out in a standardized manner. But these ones, I don't know if you can tell, they are much longer. They're about 2 feet wider than the normal pack stations for a normal customer order. And that's because the size of a retail partner order is going to be, 4, 5, 6X. I mean, a lot of times they're even larger than that. So we need a larger desk space. We need a weight scale for them. Sometimes they'll be full pallet orders depending on which customer's ordering from us. So here's some outgoing that we have today. And then depending on the size, we do have some smaller stores that when they place an order, it might only take one of these carts, which is still going to be a lot of items. And then we have some other customers, larger stores, that when they order, they need one of the larger roll carts. And then we'll use the totes to store the smaller items. We don't necessarily scan into the totes. Each one of these trolleys is its own location, just like these guys over here. So they'll have a barcode like that we scan into, and that then becomes the pick location. Okay, and we are also next to where we do item prep. So with our 3D printed items, this is something really slick that one of our leads came up with, is showing all the different items that we prep here in the warehouse with their corresponding barcode. I think this is also really helpful here, having the different bulkheads listed by size, so 1/2 inch all the way up to 2 inch. So that way, if we happen to get a box of bulkheads that we've ordered and someone's unsure of what size they are, they can do a quick comparison to see, and they then have the barcode underneath so they know what barcode needs to go on the bag for it. Here's a lot of our 3D printed items, or most of them, if not all of them. And then above it, we even show the 3D printed items with their correct insert card and the correct bag size. So let's see here, as an example, the filter optimizer for a Title 75-110. We see here that it's gonna go in the 8x10 bag, which that tag is not gonna get included on the bag. That's just for our identification purposes on this board. It gets this card, which obviously says the name of the product. And this is the exact orientation and the way we even want it packaged or prepped in the item. So we want to keep it consistent. So whether it's going to a retail partner store or it's going to you at home, every time you order this product, we want it to present in the same way in the box. Now, sometimes things will get jostled around, like that easy feeding basket. Is it going to arrive to you in that exact orientation? No, maybe not, but that's how we want to prepare it though here in the warehouse. And so that is our prep area. Here's all of our supplies, all the different bags, all the different insert cards, trying to keep everything labeled. We've got the green tape here to kind of show the separation between the different ones. So we don't want somebody putting zip ties behind the power head outflow nozzle cards. We want them all in line and well organized, because when you're organized, you're not going to lose things, or it's harder to lose things, and you're going to have better quality in general when you have good organization. Okay, where next on this tour? Wave lift, forklift. Our snow plow lawnmower has been converted to actual lawn mowing duties. So we have been mowing our own lawn here and saving ourselves quite a bit of money from utilizing a commercial service. Our lawn that we have to take care of isn't huge, so it doesn't take us too long to do it, and we end up saving a good amount of money. All right, where to go next? I'll let the editor decide how much they want to fast forward or jump around or just listen to me ramble. There's some wintertime supplies that we don't need right now, so those are all wrapped up, securely put away up in the upper racks. And this will be a bulk storage location as well. So we will never pick for orders from these locations. This is just, we received containers, we've got Backstock, this is where that all goes. So pretty full right now, and we actually have a couple more containers coming. So we're gonna be real full here in the next couple weeks. Here is brine shrimp land, let's see. So once we sell out, we turn them off, open the doors, give the freezers a rest. I wonder why that door is not open. Maybe it just shut on its own. So this freezer is on. So here's brine shrimp. So from a Backstock perspective, we have one full 3-door freezer. We have 3 empty 3-door freezers. Let's go check how the pick location's doing. We do have another brine shrimp container coming in. The unofficial commitment promise to you is that we will try our darndest to always have brine shrimp in stock, since we know how devastated or how much brine shrimp means to your fish room. We understand that. So right now, looking at it, this pick freezer, pretty good, pretty well stocked. We're gonna be just fine between now and the restock. We're not gonna run out of brine shrimp. But yeah, been picking from that location. So we're looking good. So far, we are able to uphold to that commitment to keep brine shrimp in stock. Here's the smaller vials. All right. Let's go take a look at the plant system now. All right, we've been doing tank maintenance. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, very heavy days for orders, getting orders from the weekend processed. Wednesday, we start receiving in plant shipments to replenish our stock. And while that's happening, kind of halfway through Wednesday, all of Thursday, all of Friday, we are working on tank maintenance. We have old logic in our Casa timers that we're shutting the lights off during lunchtime. So some of the Casas still have that logic, which is why that bottom row, the light is off, but that is going to kick on as soon as lunch is over. And some of them are still on because they have new logic where we don't turn them off for a lunchtime siesta. Oh, that dwarf sag. Just exploding out of the pot. There's nothing better than when plants are just exploding out of the pot. Dwarf hairgrass coming out of the pot like crazy. Scarlet Temple's looking great. Lots of Monty in here. This one nobody knows how to pronounce. I say Sargini repens or just S repens. So here's what we launched with. We launched with the 3 plant rows. 1, 2, 3. Here's what we have since commissioned in the past couple months. This is plant row 4, and we have only commissioned the top row of tanks for plant row 4. Now another fun thing, you're like, hey, what are those little red boats doing? The red boat signifies this is a tank that needs to be maintained. This is one that we need to pull the plants from. We need to gravel vac, if you will, even though there's no gravel. We need to siphon out the mulm, the rock wool that falls off, just some of the roots, some of the plant matter, and scrub all the sides with our algae scrubbers just to keep them looking nice and to make sure that we don't have any issues with algae on the surface of the acrylic, which could then potentially get on the plants. So we want to have pristine looking plants. So that's what that red boat means. All right. What else is looking real good? Pogo's looking real good. Lighting though, lighting's a little silly because that back light's off from the lunchtime siesta. I did not think to check that. Oh, Alvaceus. They're having a hard time keeping us in stock on Alvaceus. As soon as we get it in, and those leaves, while smaller, healthy bulbs, great looking roots, and those leaves look amazing. Tiger Lotus, this is one that whenever they have it, so long as they have it in stock, we're just gonna keep ordering it because it does so well for us. And we just have, what, 5 full tanks of it, and I'm not even sad about that. It's so awesome. Mayaka. Not enough people are on the Mayaka train. We sell a good amount, but I think we could sell a lot more. It's a super cool plant, looks very unique to a lot of what else is out there. I really like Mayaka. Oh no, we've got so many dark tanks because of lunchtime. Red dwarf lily bulbs. These ones, the farms can't keep these ones in stock for us nearly as well as the Tiger Lotus, unfortunately. And Java Fern, a lot of Java Fern. Always keep Java Fern in stock. Looking great. Lucens looking awesome. Wenti red looking good. Top down shots are always great. All right, now Project Beyonce. Let's give you an update. These goldfish are looking amazing. I mean, they're bigger than my hand. We got them in, they were probably, I don't know, 2-3 inches when we got these boys and girls in, and they are just thriving. Got the converted Aquarium Co-op auto feeders with the auger feeding system so we can utilize larger bottles. Which for at home, I mean, this is something that is, one, it's kind of unsightly, but for this type of an operation, it's perfect for what we're doing. If you're just feeding your one aquarium at home while you're on vacation or something, or you've just got your daily feeding taken care of with your auto feeder, as it comes is totally fine. But again, for our operation, just needed something a little bit different. And these are just enormous. I know, I'm sorry, I'm scaring you with my hand. You may be wondering, why are there so many sponge filters in there? Well, we normally run easy flows in the corner, so a large in each corner with an easy flow, and then a double stack, 2 double stacks in the center for us to get extra mulm when we're processing the biorings. We have extra in here right now because we're seeding them for next week. We're gonna get more aquariums. So Project Beyonce has done way better than we ever imagined it could. And we are kind of at the point where we're able to keep up with customer demand, but there have been some moments where we've cut it kind of close in that we, at a bare minimum, let these soak for 30 days before we make them available for sale. So right now, the team is pulling from this tank, hence the only blue tag like it. We even have a green that says good to go. And how do we determine that? That date. So that is the date that we put those biorings in, and we will not let these go until it's been at least 30 days. We want to go longer than that, but 30 days is the minimum. So if we come over here, these ones have been in since 3/24, so these are not ready to go. Today's date is April 17th. So we're getting closer, but we're not there yet with these ones. These ones were March 12th. They are good to go. But from a picking standpoint, we are picking in FIFO order. These are the ones that we're pulling from, and we will rotate this as we need to. Oh, before I go to the other side, I'll show you this too. This is another hopper conversion that we have. This one is a, what size is it? A 750 milliliter, or is it a 1 liter water bottle? That's what this clear container is. The rest is all 3D printed. It's a larger auger, and it allows us to feed out the new magic nuggets. So I'm gonna slowly convert these other auto feeders to this style so we can feed these much, much, much bigger shebunkin' goldfish now magic nuggets, which is a much larger pellet than Easy Community floating pellet. So let me go back over to this side. So I'll show you this view here. So this rack is 36 inches front to back. I believe 36 inches, correct me if I'm wrong, editor. So that's a 75 gallon that I wanna say is 18 inches front to back. We don't have 18 inches front to back for me to add another 75 butted up against or back to back with the current 75s. So what we're gonna do is use 55 gallons. So 55s, I believe, are 12 and a half-ish, but we have enough space here to have the 55s be back to back. Otherwise, they have the same height, they have the same length, so it'll be a nice clean look, and we'll be able to run the 55s down through here. They will not be the reef ready style, but they are non-tempered, so I'll be able to drill a bulkhead and be able to get it to go down to the sump for draining. To reinforce the 2x4s, we've gone ahead and put in 4x4s underneath the center brace, and right now they're just kissing. Like they're not, we didn't shove these in here, they're just barely kissing, and if we needed to, we did a little bit of a shim, but the idea is that we don't want any sag, and this 4x4 will stop any deflection. So we're not trying to make it proud and push it up, we just want to stop any deflection from this center once we put those extra tanks on here. Pallet racks themselves, I mean, they can hold like 3,000 to 4,000 pounds, if not more. So we're not worried about the metal structure in terms of its integrity. It's just at this point, the supporting 2x4s that go across. So I'll have 4 55s coming. Unfortunately, they didn't have 6, and to get an additional 2 would have been a special order where the manufacturer wanted to do like 20 units of a run or something like that. And we're just like, we'll do the 4 55s, that should be okay. And one of the reasons it should be okay is that we now, as an end cap to this system, and you'll see we're pretty close to that wall here, so I can't really extend the pallet racking any further, is this tartar tub. I think they're called Duratufs. So this purchased on Home Depot, homedepot.com, and delivered here for like 160 bucks. Insane that included delivery. So right now, this is housing 5 Tamasaba goldfish. Now, Corey and Zenzo don't know about this, but they do now as they've gone through and watched and edited this video. These Tamasaba are a part of the Goldfish Council's 2026 Grow Out competition. So they just arrived a couple days ago, putting them through a med course and basically starting to power feed them, because the goal here is, one, I need more goldfish for the tanks for Project Beyonce, but also I want to win for the warehouse and myself the Goldfish Grow Out competition. So there's 3 different categories of like best red fish, best white fish, and best overall. I've already taken the initial photos of them, which maybe the editor can throw some of those photos in here of what these guys look like. But they are a really cool Ryukin kind of hybrid goldfish, if you're familiar with the fancy goldfish. So I'm just gonna be power feeding them right now. They've got Easy Community floating pellet, feeding them 4 times a day. And the goal is just fatten them up, get them nice, big, and happy. And when they get large enough, or the competition's done, or once at least the 2-month period of quarantine that we're gonna run them through, then we'll add bio rings to this tote. Then it'll be something that we can pull from, just like any of the other 75 gallons, just the same that we're gonna have with the 55 gallons. And then I would imagine probably only have maybe 2 of the goldfish in here. Pictures I've seen online, these guys can get massive. So I think 2 of them in here, and then spreading out the other 3 to other tanks is gonna be more than enough. And for the sake of ergonomics, we've got it sitting on cinder blocks to get it higher up off the ground, and then we did cinder block caps to get a little bit more height, but also to clean up the appearance of it. You know, it's not the most visually appealing look, but this is kind of a classic fish room DIY thing to do, is utilizing cinder blocks for your rack, or, you know, lifting totes off the ground. And like everything else, it drains. down here, goes underneath all those tanks, and then drains all the way to the sump at the end. So on auto water change, running on air-driven sponge filters. So yeah, Project Beyonce is coming along quite nicely. Very excited. I'll have to do an update once I get the 55 gallons drilled in place and up and running. Okay, I think the last stop on our journey, we'll check out some 3D printing action. So in our break room, we have our little community message board for the team. And that's actually the same message that plays in Edmonds, Washington as it does here in Lexington. So people in Edmonds get to see the same message. Oh, look at that. The big corn dog's birthday is up on the screen. Get to see messages like that. You know, we get to see what people in Washington look like and see that they're celebrating their birthday or work anniversary and vice versa. So the company message board is a pretty cool thing to have playing. So here's one of our 3D print satellite mini farms, if you will. We've got 6 of the Bamboo X1Cs on this rack here. And I will show you, we are just printing away right now. What are we working on? We are working on, what are those? What is that file? Fluval? I think that is I think that's an aqua clear filter. I think that's a smaller aqua clear filter. But either way, they're all named. So this is number 13. This is Peggy. You might notice a theme. We've got Bobby. I don't even think Corey knows about these names. Boomhauer. We've got Con, Bill, and Luann. So all of these 3D printers have a name that's either King of the Hill or something that is special, or you know, an inside joke for Aquarium Co-op, because you can't have machines without names. So that's what we've got going on here. Every 3D printer has a IBOS filament dryer, and we've actually retrofitted our dryers to hold 5 kilogram spools. Normally this dryer can handle 3 kilogram spools, which is pretty large, or the standard smaller 1 kilogram spool. But to a keen-eyed observer, you would notice that this housing that kind of sits over this base, this is all retrofitted by us and our 3D print designer, who is an absolute amazing wizard. So in order to run the larger spools, we had to create internal, what's the word I'm looking for here? Basically an internal spool holder that can support the weight of a 5 kilogram spool, allow it to rotate like normal so that the 3D printer can freely pull the filament as needed, but not too easily, because then it will spin too fast and get bound up, which is a problem. So that was a learning curve. But also utilize the existing plexiglass system that came with the filament dryers. So creating our custom housing, utilizing screws. We don't like to have screws or anything where you need to assemble it for our products, but this is something we use internally. And this is the best option of just using stainless steel screws to keep everything together. So this is kind of an awesome Frankenstein amalgamation of necessity of we need to be able to run larger spools. If you run smaller spools, you are constantly changing them out, and it is just an absolute pain where, you know, instead of 1 kilogram or 3 kilogram, now we have 5 kilograms. So we can run a lot of jobs before we have to switch out our filament. Oh, here's also our sheet where we track maintenance items. So spray side fan with compressed air, spraying down other parts of the enclosure, vacuuming out the enclosure, cleaning the rods with ISO wipes, lubricating, and then the date. And we'll go through, once we fill out to date 3, we wipe it clean, and then we start the process over. So we need to make sure that you keep up on your machines, especially when you run them as long or as frequently as we do. All right, we'll go into the other office area. And this is originally how the 3D printer started. It all started over here in this little corner with Hank. So that's a tribute to Hank, the first Maboo Puffer mascot for Aquarium Co-op. So it's felt very fitting to name the first machine after Hank. Let's see, where's number 2? We then have Murphy, So our second Maboo Puffer mascot, and let's go find number 3. So again, try to imagine that, you know, none of this is here other than the office desk equipment. We get one 3D printer, awesome. We then say, let's do this. Let's get a second printer. Let's get a third printer. Third printer goes in this area, and that is Sassy. And again, that's another tribute to Corey and his dogs. So Sassy the Destroyer. Let's see if I can find number 4. Here's number 4. We've got Ladybird. This will be fun. I need to remember where all the printers are. 5. Who is number 5? Is Dale number 5? Dale might be. No, Dale's number 8. Well, while I'm here, I'll show you Dale. So there's Dale. Here's a little breeding project I'm working on. And here's the 40 breeder, which Crebensis, hopefully you guys make some babies for me soon. Let's see if I can get you poking your head out. There you are, Crebensis. Come on, make some babies. All right. Got some Anubias to trim in there. We then extend into this other office space where we've got 4 more printers. Oh, here's number 5, Elmer. We've got JoJo, shout out to Corey's wife, Katie. That's one of her many nicknames. We got old Rusty, number 19, B&G, number 12. And those names are important because as we kick off jobs from the app, right? So we say, okay, I need to print out more snow collectors. When you pull it up, instead of just seeing some crazy serial number or just a number, having the name there helps to associate where it is. Even though I don't do this every day, so I'm not as familiar with them as I used to be. I've since handed this task off. But it helps to identify, like, okay, which one needs filament changed over, which machine needs to be serviced. And when you say Hank, you're like, oh, boom, I know exactly where Hank is. Versus serial number 2759AB, right? Or even saying number 1, like the name association does go a long way. So yeah, that's our 3D print operation. Once a job is done, we'll typically move it over to like a box to transport it, and we then take it over to that prep area that I showed you earlier to get prepped up. And I think maybe the last thing to show you is we'll walk by. Here's Zenzo's old office that I've since converted into a photo lab, or a photo booth, if you will. And then here's my messy old office. And this is the tank that I've been enjoying a lot here at work. It is my, I think they're SK03 is what they're calling them, blue zebra Hillstream loaches, and they're awesome. Oh, saw a little flash of blue. That's what makes them special, that little flash. Well, a little sparring on the rock. So I added, originally it was sand with the larger rocks that are on top, and then I realized, as I want to breed them, if they are egg scatterers or if they're gonna predate on eggs or young, adding in smaller rock piles that the adults can't get into. So that way the eggs or fry are able to have a safe sanctuary, and then feeding them on Magic Small Fish Feed. So we got the easy feeding port. And then they usually go pretty crazy within moments of me feeding them. So that's how, if you really want to count them, you feed them, and then they all start coming out of the woodwork to get down on some food. But it's fun watching these guys spar. Maybe this gets cut, maybe it gets turned into B-roll, who knows? But this is my fun office tank. I've really been enjoying this. Maintenance has been absolutely minimal. These guys keep the rock surface and the glass just pristine. Got some pothos roots there in the corner. Here's the pothos behind. And I test the water every, I don't know, at least once a week. Minimal nitrates in there. Obviously no nitrites, and it's great. You know, I do a water change maybe once a month, do like a, you know, just take 5 gallons out, or closer to 3.5, 4 gallons, you know, not quite a full 5-gallon bucket, replace it with fresh water from the filtered plant water, and that's it. Oh yeah, they're all coming out now to get down on some magic small fish feed. So my hope is this is just the most hands-off breeding that I've ever done. Yeah, this is when it gets real fun. The pain though will be if I am successful and I do have fry, having to tear this whole thing down to try to get them out, and then using a Cory egg scraper to try and get them out of the tank. That will be the fun experience of this. So with that, thanks for joining me on this tour of the Aquarium Co-op warehouse. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll keep you up to date soon.